This is Network 18 and you are watching CNN IBN. This is India at 9, broadcasting live from the CNN IBN headquarters in New Delhi with Rajdeep Sardesai.
Hello and welcome to India at 9. It's Friday night and ahead of the weekend, this is your destination for the day's top stories, the news, the newsmakers, the talking points on India at 9. Let's get the headlines at the top of. But has young India really moved well beyond Ayodhya? That's our big talking point tonight on India at 9. Joining us now, a special panel with us from Mumbai. We're joined by Gul Panag, actor, Ranveer Shure, another young actor, Rahul Ishwaran, who works with the Sabri. He's the spokesperson for the Sabrimala temple. He joins us from Tiruvananthapuram. I'm also joined here by Hamidullah Saeed. He's the youngest MP in Parliament from the Congress party. Also with me is Shazia Ilmi. She's a television journalist. And Vimlendu Jha is the founder director of Swechha. It's an NGO. So 6 different viewpoints, hopefully, that will come in, all young faces. Let me first come to you, Gul Panag. You represent Young India. Do you believe that Young India is simply not interested in even considering what has happened in the past? It simply wants to sweep aside the past, move ahead, is only concerned about its own future. It's a Me Too generation which is not worried about Ayodhya and issues like that.
I'd have to agree to you largely on that, Rajdeep. I think in any progressive country, and we'd like to think of ourselves as progressive people, religion has to come back to the private domain. It has no place in the public domain. At the end of the day, what we want is education, we want prosperity, we want hope for a better future for all our brethren in this country. Really, any party that wants to be India's democratically elected representative should keep religion out of its domain now and forever. And I mean, I'd like to add here that India as a nation, as a country and as a culture has had a history of communal harmony for centuries. In fact, we are the only nation in the world in recorded history to not have had any anti-Semitic incidents during, in the last. So in fact, we're also the country where people who faced religious persecution, such as the Zoroastrians, came to. Now we've had religious and communal.
Hold on, but you're saying that we've been a nation of communal harmony, yes, but we've also had conflict in the past. Ranveer Shure,
right?
What has changed? What has changed?
Can I finish, Rajdeep?
Yes.
Can I just finish for a second?
Yeah, go
ahead. The point is the communal violence that we've recorded in history has been pretty much the last 7 or 8 or maybe 9 decades. And it's all later found to be politically motivated, clearly.
Okay.
So what are we talking about? I mean, we're talking about an aware generation today, an educated generation that wants prosperity, economic prosperity, infrastructure, and of course accountability and lack of corruption. We don't have time to bring religion back into the public domain when it really needs to go into the private domain.
Okay, that's a good point that you want religion to be in the private domain. It should not be in the public domain. But Ranveer Shure, is it about the economy? We gave those figures in the story. The Sensex is now 20,000. It was 2,000 in 1992. The economy is 9%. It was then 2.2%. Is it just the money factor that drives India's young and thereby keeps religion in a public sense away? Because there is also the trend of these religious television serials which are gathering momentum, religious television channels. Kadwa Chauth is celebrated. So it's not as if religion is out of our lives, is it?
No, Rajdeep, I think on the other hand, this is the younger generation showing far more maturity about things that are in the religious domain, to borrow Gul's word. I think is that more and more youngsters are finding a disparity between what our religious leaders are supposed to be preaching or talking about and what in effect the actions show. What I'm trying to say here is that as religious leaders, the idea is for you to be shepherds of your faith and to lead them to something bigger, bigger and grander, and to make have that faith grow in some way. Instead, we are finding our religious leaders are boxing things up either in murtis or or in buildings, And I think it is this thing which doesn't make sense to the newer generation.
Okay.
I think they see this
So they see the
disparity.
yeah, okay. So they see that religious leaders have, in a sense, misled them. They've not been shepherds, but have misled them. Rahul Ishwaran, you're a trustee with the Sabrimala Trust. Is that true that religious leaders today stand discredited in the eyes of India's young? India's young doesn't like the idea of institutionalized religion. They like religion in their private domain.
I doubt whether we can generalize those things. I believe India as a nation and a notion, India both as a nation and as an idea, as a notion, we should move ahead. But in order to move ahead, we need three things, and three things to be very clear and precise. The first thing being, those who brought down that disputed structure, let it be Babri Masjid disputed structure, should be held accountable, because that's a criminal act, that's an illegal act, they should be held accountable. Second thing, those people who still try to provoke those two communities, I don't want to name the paper, one particular paper gave this headline, one very prominent South Indian paper gave this headline here, where they showed jubilant Hindus and sad Muslims, as if they are competitors. Right. So these kind of medias should also be held accountable. The media should be responsible of themselves. And the third thing, I would humbly request, like our Muslim brethren has holy Mecca, like our Christian Jew brethren has Jerusalem or Jerusalem, let Hindus, build a Ram temple there. It is sacred to us. We can have all sort of negotiation, settlement and everything. But if it can be, like you earlier showed, Hindus helping to build a mosque, or if our Muslim brethren can come forward and help build a grand Ram temple. Remember, not only Indian Hindus, Indonesian Muslims, their largest icon is Ram. They call Ram Imam-e-Hind. Ram is their greatest cultural icon. Their airline's name is Garuda Airways. So Ram is a cultural symbol. So if we can help that get achieved, I think it will be a new beginning in India.
Will it be a new beginning? Shazia Ilmi, you come from Kanpur, from Uttar Pradesh. A lot of people, a lot of Muslims seem to be silently, quietly suggesting that there's a sense of disappointment, a sense of grievance almost after the verdict. Is that translating into a feeling where animosities will grow? Or is that translating into a feeling as, let's perhaps work out a compromise? Do Muslims feel that they are in a position to work out a compromise? Would young Muslims like to, for example, see a mosque and a temple coexist on the Ayodhya site?
Ayodhya for the longest period has been the veil, the shroud behind which hides vote bank politics. And it's very nice of Gul and Ranveer to say what they're saying. And it's very utopian, I feel, and very idealistic, because that's really what we've seen religion and politics to be in our country. Are you
saying the young are utopian and idealistic, that they are blind to the reality?
I would love to.
That Gul and Ranveer are being blind to the reality. It's a very, some would say, a very Mumbai idealistic way of looking at the world.
Exactly. And I also, not entirely, if you go to smaller towns, if you go to Mofussil towns, if you go over Muslim concentrated areas in Lucknow and Gonda, you will see there is a sense of disappointment with the way judgment has been. But if you really ask them and say, what do you want? Do you want a better credit facility? Or the masjid? They'll say, we want that. Do you want
They want a better credit?
Yes.
People want Bijli, Sadak and Pani in Uttar Pradesh today ahead of Mandir or Masjid.
Go quietly to the Begumganj area of Kanpur, predominantly Muslim, and ask them, quietly ask them, what do you want? Do you want electricity? 20 years, there's been only 8 hours of electricity every day.
So you're coming back to the basic necessities, and you made a point about vote bank politics that I want to get in, Hamidullah Saeed. Hamidullah Saeed, somewhere down the line, there's a feeling even today, a day after the Ayodhya verdict, the noises are coming from the politicians. We are angry with the verdict. Ram temple must be built. It's the politicians who are playing the vote bank politics. Doesn't that worry you? Look at the Congress reaction. The Congress is silent for fear of antagonizing one community or the other. That's not the way a progressive polity is built.
You see, the matter has been adjudicated by the High Court.
Right.
And if any party is aggrieved by the ruling of the High Court, it always has the option of, appealing to the apex court against the impugned order. So I don't think that it is necessary for any political outfit to have a comment on that.
But do you agree that
any party which is having...
Mr. Saeed, do you agree that your seniors do practice vote bank politics, that when they look at Ayodhya, they see how many votes will I get by taking a particular stand? That's the nature of our politics, that we've used the minorities in particular as a vote bank.
No, I disagree with that.
You disagree despite the fact of the Shilanyas, the various instances where the Congress also, whether it's Shah Banu, Shilanyas, you don't hold the Congress guilty of vote bank politics. has the politics matured? India has matured. Has our politics matured?
You see, youth has always been the protagonist of reform, protest and revolution. You have talked just now about youth.
Yes.
So I am a youth member of parliament. I am a young member of parliament.
Will you?
So why are you talking about what is past, what is history?
Okay, so for you, Ayodhya is history. You want to look ahead, right?
I'm not saying what is history, but what I'm saying is if any party is aggrieved by the adjudication order, the verdict that is given by the court, the aggrieved party has always an option to appeal to the apex court.
You're saying follow the judicial process.
Within the period of limitation.
Okay. Vimlendu,
because it is the judiciary which is educated.
Okay. Vimlendu, do you believe that there is an anti-politician, anti-religious leader mood among the young? And that somewhere tells the young today that, look, this Ayodhya issue, they're cynical about their politics, and that cynicism extends to issues like Ayodhya.
See, there is cynicism that we have in young people, and more so because the way India has conducted itself in the last 20 years, and how politicians or how our religious leaders have conducted themselves in the last 20 years. Also, if you look at as in the way we talk about young people moving on or young India moving on, it would actually mean that young people or young India is actually putting all the other issues, in the sense the issue of the past, under the carpet. The problem is not the issue is not that we should not talk about it. In the past, when I used to teach, like we work with young people, and every time we talk about religion, every time we have to talk about Ayodhya, there is some kind of misfortune that we bring in, some kind of a different kind of a debate that we bring in.
So you're saying the young must confront the ghosts of the past and move on.
And that's
First, you must confront the ghosts of the past.
It's about the maturity of the young as much as it is the maturity of the politicians, because I don't want to give credit to politicians for this particular behavior of the country.
Okay, Gulpanal, some are suggesting that maybe you're utopian when you say, look, communal harmony is important, because while there's communal harmony, as we showed in an expose a couple of weeks ago, if you have a Muslim surname, it's difficult to get a house, for example, in Mumbai.
Absolutely.
So there is that part of India as well. So while we've been mature about Ayodhya verdict, religious identities still seem to matter. Religious antagonism still extend below the surface.
Well, I think religious antagonism exists, but I like to believe that the youth, which comprises majority of today's population, doesn't subscribe to that view. And fortunately or unfortunately, as the young member of parliament said, the youth does have a progressive outlook towards it, but the leaders are all clearly not belonging to the segment that they're supposed to represent. So there is, in my opinion, there is a huge mismatch between the electorate and those that are represented, at least from a generation point of view. So I can't expect somebody who's 65 years old to understand how I feel.
Yeah, but
and he clearly is not my representative.
He's clearly not your representative. Is there so you're saying there's a disconnect between what you think and what religious and political leaders feel?
I think our political leaders, majority of them are beyond us, are completely beyond us in a generation gap, Rajdeep, completely.
Okay, is it Ranveer Shaurya generation? I mean, I don't know how old you were when you were in 1992, but do you believe there's a generation? It's actually a generational change that we've seen in the last week 20. Here in this country. You were 20 then. Okay, so you were relatively young. So, and you're still relatively young, but do you believe there's a generational change that if 50 or 60% of India is under the age of 35, they were what, hardly 16 or 17 when in 1992? And it's that generation which is in decision making, which wants to move on?
I agree. I think it's today's youth is pretty disconnected from that that kind of politics, or rather wants to disconnect itself from that kind of politics, because it recognizes the futility of the whole process. You can go on nitpicking about this, you can go on litigating about this for all time to come, until you are ready to actually talk to your how do I put it, your fellow citizens and your own people about what their needs are and how they feel. No relationship works, really. I think so I was watching TV.
So there's a futility. You see a futility. Is there a futility, Shazia? Is there a sense of futility among both communities? As I said, in Uttar Pradesh, in places like Kanpur, is there a face among the young that, yeah, these guys, here is a place, as you said, where there are park cuts, where there are bad roads, that let's get these things.
Exactly, and real questions never get to be asked. You know, we have
But
to...
isn't religion important? Isn't religion important?
No, religion is important, but I think there's such a disconnect between the youth. When you look at the middle class youth and the politics, it's almost as if they have nothing to do with each other. And even the younger leaders of different political parties, they just toe the party lines. Handsome is what handsome does. You're talking about youth being different, show it. Let there be a different voice. We as young people should ask, we should ask our religious leaders and political leaders, have fatwas against illiteracy. We should have a Rath Yatra. Go ahead, have a Rath Yatra for clean drinking water. Have a Rath Yatra to make sure 50% of India doesn't defecate out in the open.
Right.
We should go and ask these questions. Have a jihad against corruption. Follow religion, but religion can be used, if it's such an emotive issue, use it for something better. Like Dayanand Saraswati, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, like Sir Syed Ahmad Khan did. So youth is what youth does. Handsome is youth is a very simplistic argument. Youth feels differently. What about it? What is the next step?
That's a good point.
It's governance that we are talking about. Young people or young India is more bothered about governance rather than about religion. In the sense
You
that
basically want the issues focused back on governance, that religion becomes an issue which is divisive, governance becomes an issue
that's what
that
it has
unites
become
us.
historically. In the sense, religion otherwise is not. As in, it needs to be practiced. It's not
But in
something
this
that we
particular
take.
instance, it does. You know, yes.
Rajiv, we made it so easy for political parties. They keep us wrapped up with temple and mosque and we keep taking it. We say, hello, temple, mosque, yeah, right, dude, got it. But what next? Next time you come for Chanda, for Mandir, what about the road? What about the potholes? Are we asking the questions? We need to ask those questions and then India will move on.
You know, I want to put this to Rahul Ishwaran and to Hamidullah Saeed, because politicians and religious leaders, and in a sense you represent both, are coming under fire. Hamidullah Saeed, why does, Rahul Gandhi talks about an India beyond Ayodhya, that the real issues are infrastructure, but down there your party still seems caught in an old mindset at times. We don't see that dramatic change in your party leaders because most of them are above the age of 60. You need a younger leadership which is right down the line. It can't be just one Rahul Gandhi making one speech somewhere.
You see, just now you mentioned that the older generation should be discarded and younger generation should be given an opportunity.
Yes.
And before this, you said that Dr. Manmohan Singh was instrumental in improving our economy. So you are contradicting yourself.
No, I'm not. Your cabinet has hardly one or two ministers who are born after 1947. Your cabinet ministers. You know, what is the point in having a cabinet which is old and a country which is young? I think that's the problem. And the old politicians seem to have an old mindset. You know, that's the concern I think which Shazia is voicing here.
So Rajdeep, it is the job of the members of parliament and legislators to question the policy of the government in the parliament.
But that doesn't.
So there are a lot of young MPs now. They can question the policy of the government in the parliament.
But
they have to toe the party line.
That's right. They toe the party line. You think that they're too conservative. Rahul Ishwaran, the point is.
So what changes?
Yes.
How do you move to the next level? Because
yes, Rahul Ishwaran.
One second, Rajit.
Yes.
2 days ago,
Yes.
your own expert panel, Sri Yogendra Yadav, said in your own channel, urban youth is going to be the center of religiosity. I am not saying religion is the end of it.
Right.
All problems should be discussed, issues of development, issues of water, and it has become some kind of a fashionable thing to say all politicians are bad, all religious spiritual leaders are bad. That's a very blind statement. Don't be blinded by it.
Right. You know, Shazia Ilmi, Vimlendu, there is a point there, isn't it?
No, but there's no point. He's right. I mean, you can't be so cynical. We say we are the young India. We care about our reality TV. We care about Bollywood. We are hip and we are happening. And we care about multiplexes. And we're looking at new jobs. But listen, we have to ask the right questions. We have to be involved in politics.
No, but
it's almost as if nothing to do with politicians are bad.
Are we saying Gul
They're
Panag?
old, they're bad.
Are we saying Gul Panag that the young, if they want India to truly mature?
Yes.
I'm not bothering.
They have to be involved.
They have to be involved.
They can't sit on the arena, on the edge of the arena and comment.
No,
They've
but
got to get into the driving seat.
No, but are they, Gul Panag, is there a sense of, there's a feeling, particularly in cities like Bombay or Mumbai, that you're located physically in Mumbai, but your mind is in Manhattan. And Ayodhya becomes an avoidable distraction in your worldview.
My mind is very much in Delhi, Rajdeep, and I think lots of people think like me. There are lots of people who are sensitive. There are lots of people who want to see change, and there are lots of people who want to be that change. Now, how easy is the political system going to make it for these youth to be part of that change is what needs to be seen.
No, but the question is that, I also wonder whether it is that the fact that the economy opened up, aspirations have opened up. Everybody, I would rather have a good life now because I see it around me than get caught in Ayodhya. Is that the big change you think? Money. money has in a sense conquered Mandir and Masjid?
Of course. See, one is, of course, the way young people, young India does not look at politicians in that respectful way, and therefore religious leaders in that respectful way. And the other is to look at how young India has also become very, very self-centric, and therefore
it's a Me Too generation. It's a generation that it doesn't want issues like Ayodhya to interrupt its path up.
That's right. So, so young India is actually more bothered about their own issues, their own success, their own aspirations, and not so much about what happens in Ayodhya. And the reason why we are talking about this is that in the Indian politics does not allow young people to participate, contribute in the main democratic framework.
Okay, I'm going to ask right round the panel, ask you, if you had a choice, what would you do with this disputed site in Ayodhya? I'm going to go right round the panel to each and every one of you and ask you this question. First to you, Ranveer Shore. If you had a choice with this disputed site in Ayodhya, what would you like the government of India or the trust, the Nirmohi Akhada or the Sunni Waqf Board to do with that land? What would you ideally like them to do with that land?
I would say here and now, stop all litigation about this, accept the court's verdict, talk to each other, help each other, what you ought to be doing in the first place.
No, but what would you like on the land? What would you like to see being built on the land? Would you like to see a mandir and a masjid being built on the land? Would you like to see a hospital, a school, or just the land being left vacant? What would you like to see on that land?
Oh, well, I think a national monument is in order. After all the all the stuff that's gone down there.
National monument. Hamidullah Saeed, what would you like to see?
I would like to see peace and tranquility.
You'd like to see peace. Okay, spoken like a politician, very diplomatic. Rahul Ishwaran, what would you like to see?
Rajivji, very precise suggestion I would like to have. Yes. I would like Hindus to start the negotiation process and give up claims for any other places if they have. Let this be a good beginning. And request the Muslim brethren to help build a Ram temple. It is like Mecca or Jerusalem, but don't make it a gloating offense on them, or don't belittle them, or don't be aggressive. Request them, start the negotiation process, let Hindus begin it.
Okay, let Hindus begin it. Shazia Ilmi, what would you like to see on this site?
Well, a temple and a mosque together, along with a school or university, where people come and study about secularism, study different sciences, and a higher seat of learning.
The same thing, provided you don't give the construction work to Kalmadi.
Provided you don't give the work to Kalmadi, but that might collapse. Gul Panag, what would you like to see?
Well, I have to concur with Shazia. I'd like to see a school or an educational institution that comes out of reconciliation between both the Hindu and the Muslim faction, because that to me is the need of the hour. We need to educate our people and not definitely build temples and mosques.
So maybe an interfaith school.
Yes, there's a very interesting kavita which says that, मंदिर मस्जिद गिरजाघर में बांट दिया भगवान को, धरती बांटी सागर बांटा, मत बांटो इंसान को. So we've done all the divisions. The last thing that we possibly could have come to is 1/3 of that land, and that should ideally bring peace, and therefore there should be no politics of separation anymore.
You want a quick last word? You get the benefit of being in the studio. One quick last word.
Yes, I think it's great what you're saying, but I think let's stop talking in terms of platitudes. In lovely poetry, sher o shairi, let's ask hard questions. Every time a politician talks about, any politician about Mandir Masjid says, yes dude, what next? What about the potholes? What about the public laboratories? Let's asking the right questions.
Any politician discussing religion should be boycotted unless they talk development.
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying the Shahi Imams, the Praveen Togadiyas should be boycotted on both communities, whether it's Muslim. Okay, fair enough. I think.
कसम राम की खाते हैं, कसम अल्लाह की खाते हैं, एक शानदार भारत बनाएंगे.
Okay, that's also shairi. That's a shairi again. That's a shairi again. But
we need poetry and prose.
Okay, Ranveer Shore, Hamidullah Saeed, Vimlendu Jha, Shazia Ilmi, Gul Panag, Rahul Ishwaran, appreciate your joining us on this debate, refreshing from all the legal battles that we've been having over the last 24 hours. Well, what are you, the viewers, saying? IBNlive.com/Blaze. Emadi writes in, yes, India of today has moved well beyond the India of 1992, when Ayodhya was the central theme of existence for many people. Today's young generation is far more mature and more exposed to the world to be bothered about rights over a place of worship. Where do we stand? This is the editor's take here on CNN IBN. This is where we stand on this issue when it comes to young India. India has indeed, not just young India, shown remarkable fortitude in keeping the peace after the Ayodhya verdict. We are an aspirational society. Religion does matter, but our ambitions now go well beyond religious identities. Young India wants to look ahead. The past is seen as a burden. Pity our netas who don't always feel the same. Okay, from that, let's get all the day's other top sport for joining us. Well, that's all we have this weekend.